I want to show you this creative color grading pack we made called Psychedelic Shores. There's a bunch of 3D LUT profiles that we created that work on images that have highly saturated colors. We're going to be twisting the colors all the way around the spectrum, doing big hue transformations into blues and teals and peaches, a lot of unexpected stuff. So this profile pack really looks for color in your image. If you're shooting with a model in the frame, make sure that their skin tone is one of the least saturated things. That's going to serve you really well. So let's jump in and start applying this really wild pack of looks to some really colorful images. These profiles exist equally in Adobe Camera Raw and Lightroom, and I'm going to be using the Adobe Camera Raw workflow. I'm going to open my first image and just start jumping into applying these profiles. This comes in pretty bright, and that's okay. I'm gonna have my base Adobe color favorited here so I can see before and after. It's my RGG Psychedelic Shores color grading pack open here. Now, my browser might look a little bit different than yours. I've simplified it for this demo. I'm gonna jump right in, starting with blotter. You can see that these hue transformations are pretty major. It's good to click back and forth to see what it's actually doing. It's taking that blue, wrenching it around to green, taking the yellows, turning them to magenta, and moving on to window pane, a twist on that. Red beach, a little bit more subdued. Grand saline, that's really desaturating the greens. Lucy's a much lighter touch, interesting purples coming in now. Flashback's cool with that split tone, purples and yellows and the highlights. Bondi, really changed the hue structure there. Blockius, nice, I like the peach tone up there. Golden Dragon, super saturated. That's a pretty wild transformation there. I'm gonna show you how that can be used. Vilalta, a very different hue twist right at the end. Like I said, Golden Dragon's pretty wild. And one of the things to remember about this group is they look really intense. And that's cool, that's what we want. We want these big transformations and for you to be able to dial it back to your taste. So these things may look too crazy for a given photograph, especially with skin tones in it. But once you dial it back, they start coming into the realm of reality. So there's still big psychedelic transformations happening, but they're affecting the entire spectrum of color. You're still able to look at these and your eye understands that those skin tones still exist in a somewhat real hue range in relationship to the rest of the hue shifts that are happening. So it's really interesting in that way, and there are a lot of different options in that context. Bondi, where her skin tones go really dead, I'm able to drag that back and bring back some of the warmth in there while still retaining these massive hue shifts. Flashback's really cool. Drag that back just a touch. But since there are some white balance moves in this image, I still believe those hue shifts a lot because it's shifting in an organized fashion. Blockius, I want to check that one out when we drag it back. That one works really nicely. I'm opening up a new image. It came in as a TIFF. I'm going to convert that to a smart object and run the Camera Raw filter on that so I can access my profiles. So we've chosen this image because it doesn't have wildly divergent hues in it, but it's got enough saturation and enough difference that we're going to see these profiles work completely differently. Now, that's pretty wild. Blotter really amps up the pinks. Window pane cools it down just a touch. Red Beach pushes it more towards magenta. Grand Saline is like a nice lighter touch on the pinks. Lucy does some really interesting stuff to the yellows because there was a lot of yellow in here in this foil. And see how it's shifting that and leaving a lot of the rest of the hues alone. This is kind of nice how this lime green's coming in there. Flashback, really cool. Bondi, that's a nice light creamy touch to the whole thing. That's really cool. Look at how the skin tones are still pretty much maintaining. Blockius, that's awesome. Golden Dragon, a little hot, but really cool how this one hue in here in the hair is shifting. And Vilalta at the end, also cool. These are all producing really interesting color changes to me. Once I see all that, all I want to do at that point is start fine-tuning, going in and just messing with the amount to see what's going to happen. I want to check out Plockius a bit. It's pretty strong, but it's still got like a lot of nice warmth in the skin tones. I'm going to dial it back just a bit. That works. That's really cool. I'm going to see if I do maybe some exposure changes, or maybe adding some clarity in there to crank it up a bit. See if I can bring back some of the highlight detail. That's really cool. Another thing with this pack is the white balance can make a lot of interesting changes, because the profile is really looking for underlying color to do work on, and changing the white balance is changing the underlying colors of the image, which will change the effect pretty dramatically. So I'm happy with that. I changed all of those pink hues in there to this really nice peach in just the click of a button, dialed it back, got it balanced, made a couple of luminosity changes, and that image is ready to go. So that's been a look at Psychedelic Shores using the Adobe Camera Raw workflow.